Hello everyone, my name is Mike Moran and here to do the next video for chapter 9 of book 2, Believers United. I know it's been a while, long while, since I've made a video. Just had some really good things happening in my life, friends, family, new people living with us, and it's been really good. It's been really exciting, but definitely more adulting now. You know, you gotta be more mature and responsible and stuff like that. But anyways, enough about that. We're definitely here to do another chapter reading. So I'm gonna share my screen. Let's get started. And here we are. Chapter 9, World Hydration. Jerry, get in here right now, Chief Grimes screamed. Yes, sir. Sorry for being late. Cut the pleasantries and answer one question for me. How am I supposed to run a police station when thousands of calls are flooding our phone lines? Um, I don't know, Jerry answered with significant hesitation. He clearly had no clue what the phone calls were about. Chief Grimes breathed a deep sigh. Somehow, I always end up being your secretary. People are calling from all over the world because they saw you on the news and found out you work here. Even presidents of other countries have called, including our own. Jerry's mouth dropped wide open. What did I do? Jerry wondered to himself. If you haven't figured it out yet, look on the internet and you'll find countless videos about you creating water while fighting against Acid Man. Everyone now believes you can solve the world's water problems. They think you're the next Messiah. Jerry was stunned by the news. He never thought his powers and actions would affect so many people. He felt like a mini celebrity, but he also felt guilty for Chief Grimes having to deal with this. He looked at Chief Grimes and said, I'm sorry about all of this. I always forget to stay out of the public eye. Don't be sorry, Jerry. You did nothing wrong. You saved lives and people are happy about it. As for what to do now, it's not up to me. This is way out of my control. The FBI should be here soon. Feeling confused, Jerry asked, if it's out of your control, then why am I here? I called you here because I wanted you to see it all for yourself. Look at the office phones. Look at the people outside. They're crazy about you. Jerry peeked into the police office area and saw every personnel answering phone calls about Jerry. He looked out the window and saw people lined up with signs saying, Savior of all, Eco-Friendly Hero, and Knight of Mother Earth. Jerry's phone soon began blowing up with phone calls and text messages from his family and friends. He did not dare pick up his phone while talking with his boss. Chief Grimes laughed, while Jerry hastily put his phone in silent mode. Chief Grimes looked at Jerry with sincerity and said, When I first met you, I never thought things would be this hectic. You have quite the following now. The world expects great things from you. Don't disappoint them. Jerry put on a big smile, gave his boss a salute, and exclaimed, Thank you, sir. I'll do my best. Good. That's exactly what I want to hear, a voice echoed from outside the office door. Jerry turned around, opened the door, and Agent X entered the office. Agent X was surprisingly flustered. His black suit and hair were roughed up as if he just pushed his way through a mob. He was also a bit sweaty and said, There's a lot of traffic and chaos out there. Crazy what a little bit of water will do to people. Jerry scratched his head and replied, I had no idea my powers meant this much to people. Well, now you know. Good news is I already spoke with the president and we have our mission. The United States has an allied country that severely needs water, an Arab country named Jordan. You'll be heading there today, as in right now, to provide Jordan with a fresh source of water. If all goes well, then your future will be full of new surprises. Jerry was speechless. He never thought the President of the United States or any world leaders would care about his powers. He always saw himself as a local hero, saving a few people and making life better for those around him. Traveling across the world to save other countries sounded like a fantasy. He continued daydreaming for a bit until Agent X noticed and yelled at him in a foreign language. Cherry could not understand the language and was very confused until Agent X handed him a small electronic device. It was a clear-colored earpiece that fit on Jerry's right ear perfectly. Within seconds, Jerry began understanding Agent X, who was speaking Arabic. Arabic is the official language of Jordan. The device in your ear translates all the major languages of the world in real time. And if you lose the device for some reason, you can use a translation app on your cell phone as backup. Thank you, Agent X. I'm ready to go whenever you are, Jerry declared with a salute. Good. I will text you the GPS coordinates now. Coordinates? Aren't we taking an airplane? No, of course not. You can teleport yourself to Jordan easily. Um, I've never gone that far before. I've also never traveled across an ocean. It could be dangerous, and I might get lost. Agent X gave Jerry a pat in the back and said, if you teleport to Missouri, then you can go anywhere, right? Consider this another test of your powers. If you can make this work, then we've got major plans for you in the future. You'll be paid generously for this, and NASA has contacted us as well. Imagine the possibilities. Jerry took out his cell phone and saw dozens of messages, including the coordinates for the Zatari refugee camp in Jordan. Agent X handed Jerry a small backpack with emergency supplies and informed him about the location. It's in the middle of a desert, and about 80,000 Syrian refugees live there. Jerry took the backpack, thanked him for the information, and said goodbye, shaking hands with both Chief Grimes and Agent X. He placed the translation device into his backpack for safekeeping. Then he walked out the front entrance of the police station to greet everyone outside. Crowds of people got excited when they saw Jerry, and he announced, I'm going across the world to help a foreign country with their water crisis. I've never done this before, so wish me luck. Everyone cheered and offered their blessings, believing in Jerry and his superpowers. Jerry waved a final goodbye, concentrated for a moment, and disappeared. Chief Grimes also walked outside with a megaphone to address the crowds. You saw him. He's real, and he's busy, just as we are. He'll be gone for a while, so please go back to your normal lives so we can continue doing our police work. Thank you. Chief Grimes saw people leaving and felt relieved, until news reporters hurried up to him with lots of questions. This was turning into a press conference. Chief Grimes shook his head and thought to himself, thanks a lot, Jerry. Jerry teleported at least 10 times before reaching his destination. He traveled miles and miles over an ocean and saw both beauty and danger. There were whales swimming peacefully and seagulls flying above. Jerry accidentally teleported in the middle of a flock of birds. They made him laugh as they angrily squawked and flew away from him. He also saw fishing boats and a cruise ship full of people. Someone on the cruise saw him and waved, probably thinking it was an alien or something. Lastly, Jerry teleported a few times through a storm. Whipping winds and crashing waves filled Jerry's eyes and ears, making it difficult to navigate through. He eventually made it to the dry deserts of Africa. It was nighttime and a little chilly, about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Jerry was still soaking wet from the previous storm, so he stopped for a moment and dried off with a towel from his emergency supplies bag. Afterward, he continued his journey across Africa, staring at breathtaking mountains along the way. He soon saw settlements in the distance and let out a sigh of relief. He had finally reached the Zatari refugee camp in Jordan. In total, Jerry traveled 6,700 miles, under an hour, and he was drained. However, what he saw there was a major reality check. Refugees were living in makeshift homes made of wood, cement, and tent covers. There was no paint on the walls, nor any kind of decorations. Everything looked plain and sad. Some homes had water tanks attached to them, but not all of them, which became evident when Jerry saw a child filling a jug with water at an outside water tank and bringing it back to his home. This child looked like he had not showered in days and was walking barefoot. Seeing all of this made Jerry reflect upon his own childhood in America. He had access to all necessary resources and only had to worry about schoolwork. Judging by the looks of the child and other people in the refugee camp, they were all worried about survival and did not have time to think about school or any other luxuries or privileges. After seeing the living conditions, Jerry decided to toughen up. He wanted to rest after his journey, but he felt sorry for everyone living here and wanted to start helping immediately. A middle-aged man wearing white shorts, a white t-shirt, and a government ID badge walked up to Jerry and introduced himself in Arabic. Jerry said, "Hold on." While desperately looking for his translation device, he had put it away before traveling. Luckily, he found the device in working order, placed it on his right ear, and began speaking with the man. "Sorry about that, sir. My name is Jerry Miller. I just arrived from America, and I'm here to help with your water problem. Can you understand me, by the way?" "Yes. My government has provided me with a similar device, and I can understand you just fine. My name is Gabriel, and I've been waiting for you. I thought you would not arrive until tomorrow, but you certainly surprised us. Is it true that you are a superhero?" "Yeah. I used my powers to get here as fast as I could, and I'm ready to help. What can I do first?" Gabriel looked around, feeling skeptical about Jerry, and replied, "We'll start with a simple task to test out your abilities. Do you see the water tanks? Let's see if you can fill them all up. Usually they are nearly empty by now, and people have to wait until the next morning for trucks to bring water and fill up the tanks. And if you can fill up the tanks now, it will be a great help." Jerry nodded in agreement and closed his eyes. He concentrated and focused on his previous battle with Acid Man. In less than a minute, Jerry created two yellow water tanks on his back and gray fire hoses spiraling up his arms and hands. He walked over to the nearest water tank, and Gabriel showed him the mechanics. Jerry connected his fire hose to the water tank and began filling it up. Gabriel tried to maintain his professionalism, since he was briefed about Jerry's abilities, but seeing them in person brought tears to his eyes. Gabriel felt powerless his entire life and joined the Jordan government to try making a difference. Gabriel currently serves as a resource coordinator in the refugee camp, making sure supplies are received and distributed daily to his people. However, there are days when supplies are scarce, and he can do nothing but watch them suffer. He was happy and relieved that Jerry could help. After filling one water tank, Jerry proceeded to fill every water tank in the refugee camp. This was a long and tedious process, taking hours to complete, but Jerry was determined and never gave up. By 2 a.m., Jerry finished his work and barely made it onto a sleeping bag provided by Gabriel. Jerry slept like a rock since he was exhausted from the day's travel and work. Gabriel, however, did not sleep at all. His entire life felt meaningless after watching Jerry in action. Gabriel's hard work and good intentions paled in comparison to Jerry and his powers. He felt angry at himself for relying on Jerry and not being able to save his own people. As a result, Gabriel began brainstorming new ways to help his people. Unfortunately, many of his ideas were too costly or impossible to put in action, which only frustrated him further. The next day, refugees were very happy when they woke up and discovered their water tanks were full. Some of them took well-needed baths, while others washed dishes and laundry. Jerry was glad to help, but he knew it was only a temporary solution. He decided to call the smartest person he knew, Dr. Diaz. "Dr. Diaz, how are you doing today?" "Great, Jerry. I'm doing research and helping the FBI locate more believers. I love my new work, and it's all thanks to you. I'm glad to hear it. I hope you're not too busy at the moment because I need your help. I'm in the country of Jordan, and I'm trying to find a way to solve their water crisis. What can I do? Dr. Diaz paused for a moment. He was astonished that Jerry was working in a foreign country. He also grew excited thinking about the possibilities of Jerry's powers being used to solve global problems. His mind continued to wander, and Jerry said, Doc, I need a quick answer. This phone call is costing me a fortune. Ah, okay. Let me think for a moment. If you're in Jordan, then their main source of water is the Jordan River, which flows into the Sea of Galilee, a large freshwater lake in Israel. It's been drying up for years, much lower water levels than it used to have. So the best solution is to fill it back up. I saw you create water on TV when fighting against acid rain, but can you really create enough water to fill up a lake? I don't know, Doc, but I gotta try. Thank you for the info. I gotta go. Dr. Diaz was about to offer warnings about overusing his powers, but Jerry hung up. Dr. Diaz sighed and thought to himself, I always worry about you, but I also believe in you. Good luck, Jerry. Jerry put his phone away and asked Gabriel to drive him to the Sea of Galilee. Gabriel clarified that's a 2-hour drive, and Jerry agreed. They walked over to Gabriel's vehicle, a brown Jeep with oversized tires made to travel over the sandy desert country. Normally, Jerry would teleport himself over to a location, but he wanted to save his energy and have time to think about his mission. Jerry spent the full 2 hours in silence, trying to figure out what to do upon arrival. He knew that standing next to a lake and shooting his water hose would take years to fill up the lake, so that was not an option. He needed to make something big enough to create tons of water in a short time. But even Jerry was skeptical of that idea, so he came up with something better. They eventually arrived at the Sea of Galilee. It looked like a tropical paradise, far different from the dry, sandy desert surrounding the refugee camp. The lake had greenery all around it. Herds of sheep and cattle were eating in bountiful fields of grass, then resting under full-grown leafy trees for shade. The lake is full of fish, sea life, and algae, too. Birds were flying overhead, and people were sunbathing on their rich beachfront homes around the lake. Life in general seemed much better for anyone living around or near the lake, a life Gabriel dreamed of providing for his people. Unfortunately, the Sea of Galilee was not as perfect as it seemed. There were a few brown areas and signs marking how far the water had receded over time. Gabriel pointed to an island in the middle of the lake and explained that the island did not belong there. It used to be underwater. Jerry decided that the island would be his focal point and teleported onto it. There he stood, looking at the sky, ready to put his 2 hours of thought into action. Jerry closed his eyes and stood still, his arms stretched outward like a tree reaching for the sun. Then he began to spin like a helicopter, faster and faster, until he rose up into the sky. And great winds soon wrapped around him in the form of a tornado, just like he'd done in Dynamite City last year. This time, however, was different. The tornado grew bigger and bigger, transforming into a full-blown hurricane. Strangely, though, it was not as strong or dangerous as you'd expect. The temperature changed. The weather grew cold. Something unusual was happening in the air. Water vapor was condensing and transforming into liquid water. It soon began to rain all over the lake, but heavily focused above the island in the middle. It did not look like a regular rainstorm, more like a waterfall, pouring down and drowning the island. Water levels steadily rose around the lake, and people watched with amazement, praying to the sky as if their savior had arrived. Gabriel felt something strange in his heart, a mix of emotions he could not control. He wanted to feel happiness, knowing that his people would benefit from the increased water supply, but instead he felt angry, jealous, and vengeful. He wanted to be the hero. He wanted to be their savior. He could not accept that his entire life's work could be overshadowed and trumped by Jerry Miller, an American who had no business interfering with Jordan affairs. Gabriel ran over to the Jeep, looked under his seat, and pulled out a handgun. He walked to the edge of the water, looked up, and saw Jerry floating in the sky. His storm was ending, his mission complete, and smiling as he floated downward with whirling winds supporting him. Gabriel could not wait any longer and began firing 8 bullets. Jerry was caught by surprise and exhausted after the storm, so the first shot glanced his arm, and the second shot made a direct hit. Luckily, handguns are not accurate at long distance, so the other bullets missed, and Jerry survived the attack. His dying winds whipped his body around and threw him onto the shoreline away from Gabriel. But he couldn't move. He had to heal his bullet wound before attempting to fight, and he did not have enough energy to teleport away. Things were looking grim as Gabriel walked toward Jerry with a hunting knife. Gabriel was speaking in Arabic, and Jerry could not understand a word. He'd left his translation device and bag in the Jeep. Jerry tried reasoning with Gabriel, but he could feel deep anger and resentment coming from him, and Gabriel did not speak nor understand English. Jerry had just finished healing his bullet wound, but he ran out of time as Gabriel quickly closed the gap and leaped in the air. His knife was gleaming in the sun, poised to strike Jerry in the heart. Suddenly, a sizzling blast of energy burned a hole through Gabriel's back and chest. Gabriel's lifeless body tumbled and fell next to Jerry. The body was unmoving and clearly dead. Jerry slowly sat up, recovering from his near-death incident, and saw a dark black man wearing a black tank top shirt and green camouflage army pants. It was Laserpoint. Once again, Jerry was angry at Laserpoint and himself, but said nothing. He sat in silence, knowing that Laserpoint saved his life, and feeling weak for not being able to stop Gabriel and save him from death. Laserpoint walked up and extended his hand to pull Jerry up. Jerry relentlessly accepted his help, knowing that he was still weak and unable to stand up alone. I know you're mad, Jerry, but I had no choice. Your life is more important than the man who tried murdering you. Why is death always the answer for you? Jerry demanded, thinking that Laserpoint could have tried something else. My power is deadly and doesn't allow me to show mercy, but I won't lie to you. I prefer it this way. Killing that man was the only way to ensure your survival. I was sent by the FBI to watch your back and protect you at all costs. Jerry cursed under his breath, feeling physically and mentally defeated. He sluggishly walked to the Jeep, grabbed his bag, and went to the airport with Laserpoint. Jerry tried sleeping on the plane, but he felt restless and could not stop thinking about everything that happened. He felt triumphant when he filled the lake with water, but all of that was shrouded by negative emotions related to Gabriel's betrayal and death. He responded to numerous text messages and told his family and friends that he was okay. But was he really? Jerry felt lucky this time and may not be so lucky in the future. And that's the end of chapter 9. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I do apologize for taking so long to make another video, but hopefully I still have some fans left, and hopefully we'll keep making videos and you'll get to enjoy a free story. Thank you all so much.